Divine intervention. The Panthers have called up their top prospect.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Wednesday, November 19th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez from the Hockey News. You can follow me on X at Monoman12. That is Jacob Winans joining me on another edition of Winans Wednesday. You can follow him on X at JakeW_8. Shout out to everybody who's come back here and get your daily Florida Panthers fix. And thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast and the Locked On Podcast Network North America's #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. You can do that all on FanDuel. So, Panther fans, grateful to be back here once again on another edition of the show to discuss everything in the world of the Florida Panthers. Today, we are going to discuss the Panthers calling up their top prospect in Jack Devine. We're also going to discuss how Seth Jones has been on a heater as of late, and then discuss Sergei Bobrovsky, how he's above average in certain types of saves, but below average in different areas, depending on where the shots are coming from. But Jacob, this is very exciting for the Panthers calling up Jack Devine. Unfortunately, it comes with the situation of Cole Schwindt being out long term, which we still don't know what the timeline is going to be for his injury, but it's not going to be short term, as Paul Maurice said after Monday's game. And Eetu Luostarinen, although he's day to day, this is not looking that he is going to play on Thursday. But Jack Devine getting the call, the former 7th round pick, 2-time Hobey Baker finalist, 2-time national champion. He's coming to the show and fast tracking himself because this is his first full year in pro hockey.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an exciting time. I didn't think we'd see him this soon.
No doubt.
Definitely didn't expect him to get a call up this early, but opportunity has kind of met misfortune in a way where the Panthers forward group is pretty decimated with injuries right now. And I think when it came down to the options for a call up, Jack Studnicka had a fantastic preseason, but it seems like he's injured. He hasn't played a game for Charlotte in a few weeks. Mm-hmm. Probably wasn't in the best position to be called up right now. I thought he would have been the first in line. And a couple other guys down there in Charlotte, Wilmer Skoog has had a pretty good year, and I thought Sandis Vilmanis had a chance to get called up. But I think what the Panthers need right now is an offensive forward who can kind of fill in on the Bennett line or something like that, because that fourth line is going to be missing a lot of the grit and grind, and I think you'd like to have AJ Greer back down there, and put a guy who's more offensive minded in the top 9. And I think Jack Devine fits the bill. He's well seasoned, played a ton of college hockey, so it's not really a situation where it's like a guy who was 1 or 2 years of college, transitions to the AHL and still has some more developing to do. This is a guy who played his full 4 years of college, got a taste of the AHL. Don't forget, he played the end of last season in the AHL, so he's it's not necessarily his first season of pro hockey. It's his first full season of pro hockey, but he's been through a full training camp, has parts of 2 seasons now spent at the AHL level. I think he's more than ready for the opportunity. And he's a guy who has the offensive skills to play with some of those really high-end skilled players. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be a good opportunity for him. You'd like to see him get a chance with some good line mates, and we'll see how this goes. But big opportunity here, and it'll be a good look at our top prospect.
Yeah, coming in at 22 years old, right-handed shot forward. Like you said, a great shot coming out of the Denver University. His teammate in Charlotte, Mike Benning, he was also teammates with him when they were at Denver University together. But it also comes down to the situation based on his contract status as well. He's waiver exempt, so you could send him back down as well. for in the case that Eetu Luostarinen is back and healthy. And Jordy Kinnears did say that Jack Studnicka is no longer on crutches, so he should be returning soon. And Ben Stevens has had a great season, five goals so far for him. Ryan McAllister just returned to the lineup, so he's trying to get back into the groove there for the Checkers as well. But Jack Devine is the one leading the way, and he's fit in quite well like a glove over there. And Jack Devine was also a big part of the Charlotte Checkers attempting a comeback, although they fell short against the Abbotsford Canucks in 6 games last year. He was a big reason why they were a part of that big turnaround. And yeah, like you mentioned, Wilmer Skoog, 26 years old, played at Boston University as well. He was on pace for a career high in goals. He was a 20 goal scorer just a few seasons ago with 22 goals. So I calculated his pace. He's around the same time there. But just with how quick he's done it here. Congratulations to him. I do expect this to be a short-term call-up. I do expect him to be sent down, and I do expect maybe around like 8 to 10 minutes in his NHL debut if he does in fact play on Thursday against the New Jersey Devils. But congratulations to him either way. And then you look at, I was thinking earlier today with the waiver wire of what's out there with John Beecher and Phil Tomasino. You don't want to bring those guys in just to have them back and have them switch from one city to the next when it comes to teams, if that does happen to be the case as well. But the fact is that you get to bring one guy in and also give him a taste. I think that's truly important. And also, Jacob, let's not forget how worried we were. Not this past summer, not the summer before, not this summer, but the summer before, excuse me. How when Jack Devine was returning to college and every one of his teammates was signing their NHL deals, was it going to be a situation where he was going to take it all the way to college free agency and leave? I mean, we saw that with Zach Hyman. It was a very ugly situation with Ike Howard and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Thankfully, he's with the Panthers. He finished school, and now he's gets a chance at the big show.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, we can't really overlook the fact that this is a 7th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
You don't often see 7th round picks making their NHL debut 15, 20 games into their pro career. I mean, this is pretty, I won't say unprecedented, but it's uncommon to see a 7th round pick get to the NHL at this rate. And I think that definitely speaks to his college accomplishments. And this is a guy who's played a lot of championship hockey.
Mm-hmm.
He's won championships at the NCAA level, gets to Charlotte, and immediately is thrown into a playoff situation and makes a run to the finals there, plays Calder Cup finals hockey in the AHL. He's a winner, and he knows how to play in big game situations. And I think there's a maturity to his game. There's definitely a maturity to his game that you don't see from a lot of 22-year-olds because he's been in some of these situations. So I think he's well positioned to make the jump. I like the way that his game is not necessarily he's not really a one-man show type of player. He's not a player who needs to do a ton to create for everyone else. His skill set is very good as a complementary player. And that's really what you're looking for here. If you get him with good line mates, he can finish chances. He can set up plays. He doesn't have to do too much. He can forecheck hard. He can do all the dirty work. He can win board battles. He's a guy who has a really complementary skill set. And I think that fits in well when you're trying to place a young guy into the lineup for the first time. Whenever he's on the ice, he'll find something to do on the ice that's going to benefit the team and benefit his line mates. And I think that's a good trait to have for a young player. And yeah, you talk about how we were concerned about if he was going to take it all the way to free agency he's outplayed his draft stock and his draft position. Is he going to want to go somewhere else where there's more of a clear path to opportunity? And I think him betting on himself, going back to school, coming to the Panthers when he was fully ready, sometimes those things just work out. And I don't think he definitely couldn't have predicted that the Panthers would be down 5 forwards right now, and Barkov and Tkachuk and Nosek and Gadjevich and Schwindt now, and all these guys that are now out, Eetu Luostarinen. He couldn't have predicted that.
No way.
If he wanted to go somewhere else and that had a clearer path to the NHL, certainly wouldn't have faulted him for doing that. But the fact that he stuck with the organization, bet on himself, it's unfortunate how it happened for him to have this opportunity. But sometimes the opportunity finds you, and props to him for sticking with his draft the team that drafted him, and the opportunity is here now, and he didn't have to go elsewhere for it.
No doubt. And I actually looked up real quick how long it took Mackenzie Weegar to make his debut with the Panthers. It took him 4 years. He only played 3 games in 16-17. Most of that time spent in the AHL with Springfield when that was the Panthers affiliate. But yeah, can't wait to see Jack Devine there, likely to be on the line with Sam Bennett and Carter Verhaeghe. So you give him a shooter, you give him an experienced forward who can dump the puck and allow Jack Devine to go get it as well. So that's also when you think about the type of the line that he's probably going to be on, because if AJ Greer goes back to that fourth line, you shift Luke Cunnin back to center as well, which that's the position where he started the year for the Florida Panthers. So it's good to also have that positional flexibility there.
And one quick note on his line mates there, the fact that he's playing with Sam Bennett, that's key too, because Sam Bennett was so instrumental in helping Mackey develop last year, giving him the confidence that he could play freely and kind of have a little bit of a sheriff on the ice, making sure no one's going to mess with your rookie. That's a guy who's going to have your back, and a guy who, if he's getting physical out there, you're more inclined to get physical too, because you have him behind you. And I think that was huge for Mackey last year, and hopefully it'll be the same for Devine.
Yep. And yeah, he'll definitely have a lot of guidance and protection there. But we're going to transition over to segment number 2, where we're going to discuss how Seth Jones has come alive over these last 3 games. And has he increased his chances of making Team USA? We'll discuss this next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Rue Giet. And let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress, I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little support. And that's where Rue Giet comes in. RueGiet.com offers the fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rue Giet makes it easy to get started. Just connect with board-certified doctors, 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. It prescribes your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off of your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL so they know we sent you. Rue Giet, start making excuses and start making moves. Back on this Wednesday, November 19th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on the nation's #1 sports podcasting network, the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. So, Jacob, this was actually supposed to be our first segment of the show, but the Jack Devine news has definitely overshadowed the more important news. But let's talk about Seth Jones. 13 shots on goal in the last 3 games, 34 overall for which leads Panthers defenseman. He's 3 more than Aaron Ekblad. It's funny because this time last week we were discussing about the lack of offense for the Panthers, and look what happens. The goal scoring has come through, but we were also discussing how the defense are also doing a great job as far as creating shots from the blue line. Just because the goals weren't going in, it doesn't mean that the defensemen weren't creating offense with how they were keeping the pucks in, getting through, and hopefully creating chances for rebounds. But Seth Jones, you look at what he's doing in that pair with Nico Mikkola. The expected goals percentage is towards the top third of the NHL. So that is a big also part of how well they're playing offensively. Defensively, it's not the best as far as the high danger chances against. The expected goals against are towards the bottom for this season, but making it up on offense and helping the Panthers because we have felt some frustrations this year with these games that the Panthers have had, these 1-2 goal games. And we mentioned AJ Greer in the last segment. He's third in goal scoring for forwards for the Florida Panthers. Only Reinhart and Marchand, as far as forwards, have more than him. But Seth Jones is picking it up and not necessarily putting the team on his back, but he's lifting a little bit of the load. So it's there's not so many bricks in Brad Marchand's backpack.
Yeah, and that's key right now. The Panthers forward core there's no other way to put it except that group is decimated with injuries right now.
Mm-hmm.
The entire forward group is thrown off, and we knew this was going to be the case. Barkov out, obviously that's gonna hurt in a lot more ways than just offense, and we're seeing that. Defensively, you can very clearly tell that there's a giant hole in the center of that forward group with Barkov out, and that's just going to be something they're going to have to deal with. Matthew Tkachuk being out hurts the offense a ton. He might not be the huge goal scorer he can be, but that's not really what he normally does. What he does is he elevates everybody around him. And Sam Bennett struggles without Matthew Tkachuk. Evan Rodriguez, Mackie Samoskevich, Carter Verhaeghe. Those are all guys who get turned on a line with Matthew Tkachuk when this team is fully healthy. And Sam Reinhart on the power play. So much of what he does is created for Matthew Tkachuk. So him being out, it makes it hard for everybody else on the offensive end. So the fact that the forward group is still sort of trying to piece this together and find some consistency on offense out everywhere except Brad Marchand. They definitely need the defense to pick up some of that slack. And I think Seth Jones is starting to come alive right now in a offensive way where he can sort of shoulder some of that load and find the opportunities where he can contribute, the power play especially. But I just love the way he's activating. And if you look at the game against Vancouver, look at where his goals came from. These aren't big bombs from the blue line. He's jumping up and being opportunistic, getting to the net. You're going to need some of that. It's starting to look a little bit like Brandon Montour in his 70-point season when he was just all over the ice and was finding ways into the offense. That's what the Panthers are missing right now, or that's what they have been missing, and Seth Jones is starting to provide it. And we're fortunate that he's got such a great partner in Nico Mikkola, who does a great job of covering space and allowing Seth Jones the confidence to jump up into the play and know that he's got a great D-man behind him, helping to cover the slack as he gets back.
Yeah, and although there have been a few head-scratching plays at times where it's both of them going in, and then you leave someone, and if someone cherry picks towards the blue line, that's where sometimes those high danger chances and those breakaways could happen for the opposition. But lately, the communication has been a lot better when it comes to, hey, allow one person to go there, and you know what. Although you can't really define Mikkola as a true stay-at-home defenseman because of how much he gets to from the blue line to the corners, even though it doesn't provide it in goals. But he still provides an opportunity to keep the puck in and at least give the Panthers more time. It's limiting the load off of Bobrovsky and Tarasov throughout this season as of right now. So that is truly important from what that pair especially is doing. But let's talk about Seth Jones and just Team USA chances. I mean, let's discuss. I'm gonna just list the names of what the Four Nations roster was last year. Adam Fox, Brock Faber, Noah Hannafin, Charlie McAvoy, Jacob Slavin, Jake Sanderson, Zach Werenski. Those are the guys. Right now, Charlie McAvoy's hurt. He took a puck to the face just a few days ago against Montreal. That was an ugly one. It was nasty. Right now, Jacob Slavin's on IR too. So that's another player who's right now out. But Slavin is a left-handed shot. But and right now, Quinn Hughes is healthy. Quinn Hughes was not part of the Four Nations last year. 16 defensemen were invited. So there's also the Jackson Lacombe. He's on the radar for Team USA. Luke Hughes is also on the radar as well for Team USA. So there's a part of me that's a little worried that because Seth Jones got to the Panthers later in the year, that it might, although he's raised his profile more thanks to that later run and then the Stanley Cup. I wonder if it's just because of these guys getting the games last year and the fact that a big name in Hughes is healthy. That part of me wonders whether that truly hurts Jones's chance to make it?
Yeah, I think it definitely hurts his chance because he didn't get that full season last year with the Panthers, where he easily could have been a 60 plus point player the way he was playing last season when he got to the Panthers. And I think the two-way game really showed in the playoffs. I think the thing that he really has going for him that a lot of the other guys on that list don't is they got to see how he performs in high pressure championship playoff type moments. And if you look at the way he played in that entire Edmonton series, look at the way he played in Game 7 against Toronto, look at the way he played in the Carolina series, just an absolute animal on the defensive side when he's originally more known as the offensive defenseman. I think that helps his case a lot. He's a guy who you don't have to wonder how he's going to perform in big games because they've gotten a chance to see it recently, how he performs in big games. And that's going to help him. The fact that he's a right shot defenseman is going to help him. There's McAvoy, there's Fox, there's Faber. The right side of the U.S. blue line is not really as strong as the left side, or not as deep as the left side. It'd be stupid of me to say McAvoy, Fox, and Faber are not a strong right side. That's a very strong right side, but not as deep as the left side. So he has a few things going for him. There's also the injury factor. I mean, not all of these guys are going to be healthy come Olympic time. We know that that's just the nature of hockey, and the fact that this break comes in the middle of the season. There's going to be some guys banged up, and we hope it's not. We hope it's a fully healthy U.S. roster that can go in there, but that's unrealistic. I don't know. There's a couple of guys from that Four Nations team that if I were picking, Seth Jones would be a pick ahead for me. In a tournament like this, I prefer height. I prefer length. I prefer size and the ability to take hits on the boards and cover a lot of ground and have the reach with the stick. A few of the guys on the list don't really provide that.
Brock Faber's a little small, so a little smaller. So yeah.
Yeah, and Adam Fox is as well. And there's also a lot of questions about how he performs in pressure games and big situations. He tends to shrink in big games, and that's something that's been an issue for them in New York. There's some guys that we could go if we want to measure Jones against other players head to head. There's some guys that I would say he should have the advantage over, but a lot like the college football playoff committee, I guess you gotta be close enough to have those comparisons or whatever they want to say about Miami Hurricanes, but that's another topic.
Good comparison. And it's funny because the head coach of Team USA, Mike Sullivan, head coach of the New York Rangers, Charlie McAvoy is also Mike Sullivan's son-in-law. So there's also that relationship factor there. Is he really going to leave those guys out? That's the tough part. And also there's a lot of guys who with that profile who play a two-way game and also can man a power play. So that's where it's like still very questionable. It still makes me think why he's on the bubble, and I can't necessarily say he's a shoe-in for that he's definitely going to be there. But let's transition over to segment number 3, where we are going to discuss the state of the tandem and discuss Sergei Bobrovsky on how he's above average in certain states, but below average in another. We'll discuss that next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Third and final segment here on this Wednesday, November 19th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day on the nation's #1 sports podcasting network, the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And also, tomorrow's practice for the Florida Panthers is actually open to the public. So if you guys want to go to practice, you guys are able to. So have fun if you happen to be going tomorrow. So let's discuss the state of the tandem, and let's discuss Sergei Bobrovsky especially. So Bobrovsky, he is above average in low and mid-range saves for him, but he is at below average as far as the high danger saves, usually the ones in the slot below the circles near the blue paint. So his save percentage right now is at a 723 versus the league average being at 811. So right now he is at an 883 overall. 897 is the league average overall for goaltending. So a lot of the shooting percentage is high for these players. But overall, the Panthers give up 3 more shots against when Sergei Bobrovsky is in net versus Daniil Tarasov, but that's a matter of trusting your goaltender more. So that's just more of a system for what the Panthers have for their trust in their 2-time Vezina Trophy winner and 2-time Stanley Cup champion. But looking at this for Bob, when it comes to the high danger save percentage, you hope that this is a matter of it being, obviously the Vancouver game is one that really skews the number for him, especially because of how many of those goals came from down low. Unfortunately, he didn't freeze the puck and allowing that first goal. And I saw this stat, Jacob, of 14 games that Sergei Bobrovsky has played, 12 power play goals against. But at even strength, 5-on-5, 1.78 goals. So that's good enough most nights to win for the Panthers with Sergei Bobrovsky in net, with how they do it on 5-on-5, and they still suppress a lot of shots. It's just those, when it comes to the quality of chances, the Panthers are giving up a good amount of the quality, even though it's not quantity.
Yeah, and that's not really the Panthers' identity. I mean, we do talk about how they take a lot of risk. That's just an inherent element to the way they play the game. But a lot of what they're giving up right now, it's not. Yeah, there's some breakaways here and there and odd man rushes from jumping up into the play and stuff. But I'm not as concerned about that as I am the slot shots and some of the kind of unchecked net front things and the power play having way too easy of a time against the Panthers in some cases. It hasn't been consistently bad, but there has been a noticeable dip in the quality of or the ability to eliminate some of those quality chances and the slot opportunities and the things that they're usually really good at keeping out of their game. With that said, Bob has made a living in a career and a Hall of Fame resume out of making at least a couple of those saves where he should have no chance, where it's a high danger chance that the defense is giving up, and you just need him to bail you out. He hasn't really done that much to start this year, and that's not something that I'm really raising a red flag or sounding the alarm on. This is just kind of how it goes. It's almost like you give up a little bit of that version of Bob in the regular season, and then you know it's going to be there in the playoffs when it counts. That's just kind of the way he has operated in the past couple of years. Not really sure that there's any method or reason behind it. It's just kind of the way things seem to shake out when it comes to Bob. He'll have a cold month or two and have some difficulty making some of those miraculous saves, and then he just turns it on when it matters. And I'm not that concerned about it. They're not getting the defensive support from the forwards that they normally get because of the fact that Barkov is out, because of the fact that Nosek is out. A lot of what makes them really good offensively is the fact that their forwards are so good defensively. And right now they're missing that too. So it's that things are going to look really odd this year. And at the end of the day, stats are going to look weird. Players' goals and assist totals are going to look weird. The plus minus might look really weird for some of these guys. Sam Bennett, case in point right there. I don't think this year is going to be much of an accurate reflection on who these guys are as players or I mean, looking back on their careers years from now, this is going to look like a really, really funny blip on the radar in a lot of the careers and the stats that come with these guys. But ultimately, this is the year where results matter. I don't care how they get wins. I don't care if they win 10-7 in a football score. I don't care if they win 1-0. Just get wins how you have to get them, and just make one more save than the other goalie. And that's all that really matters right now.
Yeah, and I want to go back to the penalty kill for the Panthers there, where a majority of the league does go to that 1-2-1, and when you see at least when the opposing power play is getting it to that to the flanks, you see that multiple guys are drawing towards to at least try to take the passing lane away. But a lot of the time that they're not closing in enough to at least take it from flank to blue paint as well, and that's where the Panthers could also get caught there, and also. Again, I haven't said this in a few weeks, but then you kind of realize how much you miss a guy like Dmitry Kulikov manning a good part of that penalty kill for the Panthers. Yeah, Ekblad, Forsling is a big part of it, but Kulikov, man, with what he could provide with separating the puck, throwing in a forearm on the opposing guy's shoulder to push him off. I mean, he's the franchise leader in hits, for crying out loud, as well. So that's another thing of how much he's sorely missed in that area of the ice for the Cats.
Yeah, no, that's a huge part, and one thing that we haven't really talked that much about, because you hate to single this out as a big weakness, because in a year where the Panthers are fully healthy, you probably don't shine a spotlight on this much at all. But the third pair in general, it's a big step down right now from what it was last year with Kulikov and Schmidt. Nate Schmidt was a diamond in the rough signing, and did a lot for the Panthers, especially early in the season when they needed him to step up. And this is before Seth Jones was acquired, and you had Schmidt playing a larger role that he probably should have been. They don't have that this year. And then Kulikov is the guy who is sort of the stable, steady force in that third pair. And if he's with Petrie, if he's with Balinskis, and now Sebrango, if he was with any of those guys, Kulikov has an ability to elevate his partner's game to an extent, because of how reliable he is defensively and how he blocks shots and clears pucks and kills penalties and throws hits. His partners usually perform pretty well when they're with him. Right now, that's not really the case on that third pair, and it's sort of been a mix and match of what you can put together there, and yeah, you can definitely see that, especially on the penalty kill. But it's really not all bad. It's just not all consistent. Petrie has good games and bad games. Balinskis, when he's in the lineup, has good games and bad games. Sebrango has been a nice find, but it's going to be a while before you see consistency from him, because this is really his first extended run of NHL action, when he's getting a real fair shake at playing. And there's going to be some growing pains on that third pair, and you're going to see that shine through a little bit more in the penalty kill than you are at 5-on-5, because there's less opportunity and less guys on the ice to mask it.
And speaking of that, while you were saying your statement, I actually looked up on Hockey Reference what the time difference actually between last year and this year based on shorthanded time on ice, because Jeff Petrie's not playing shorthanded minutes. His average time on ice is 25 seconds per game. So Gustav Forsling is playing almost 30 more seconds of PK time per game. Aaron Ekblad is playing at least 30 more seconds as well. Seth Jones is playing a lot less. His minutes are way down on the PK for the Panthers. So that's also an overwhelming a lot of time for Aaron Ekblad and Gustav Forsling, the time that they're taking on for the PK. I mean, just a few days ago, Gustav Forsling had that 2.5 minute shift when the Panthers were 5-on-3 as well. So that's also gonna add up to those numbers based on the amount of time on ice there for the Panthers. So tired legs it's gonna be harder to check the puck out of the stick, and also to get those clears, and also get a change off the ice as well. So maybe it's by design from what Sylvain Lefebvre is doing, but the minutes are overwhelming more towards Forsling and Ekblad. I'm like, wow, just like looking it up, seeing it right now.
Yeah, well, first of all, I was absolutely mind blown when there was that stoppage and the faceoff comes out, and Forsling didn't even look at the bench. He didn't even consider going off. I was thinking, this guy is absolutely insane.
Monster.
Yeah, he's a beast. But yeah, like you said, tired legs no matter how good the player is, when the legs get tired, it's usually only a few seconds before the mind starts to get tired, and you're just and you make silly mistakes or forget an assignment when you're truly exhausted. And also can't overlook the fact that those guys also block a ton of shots. The more time they're on the ice, the more susceptible they are to shot blocks and pucks and taking slappers and one-timers off the legs and knees and ankles. And it's not fun minutes when you're out there on the PK. So the sooner they can get some more guys rotated into the penalty kill, and the sooner you can get some guys healthy there on the blue line, the better. It's just Kulikov out. That's not a short-term thing. And yeah, it's gonna be heavy lifting for Ekblad, Forsling, and Mikkola, and then just whoever you can put out there with them right now. And another thing they're just gonna have to deal with long term. I wish some of these injuries were short term things, but everyone but Eetu, we're talking months.
Yeah, no doubt. And also, speaking of the block shots, Paul Maurice, when it came to Jeff Petry's 1,000th game, is like getting to a 1,000 game as a defenseman. You've survived so many different situations, partners, block shots, going down going to the bench, limping, the whole 9 yards. Which, by the way, the Panthers today had a little bit of a celebration, celebrating Jeff Petry's 1,000th the day after the game. They chose their off day to have like a little celebration. So hope the Panthers, the group, had a little fun there on their day off. But
and real quick on Petry, it's funny you talk about that, just all the things you have to go through as a D-man to reach that. The one thing that always stuck out to me with Jeff Petry and what he was willing to play through was his eyes. That game when his eyes when he was with Montreal and his eyes were bloodshot to the point where you couldn't see anything but blood in his pupils, and he was out there on the ice. I mean, one of the, and I don't advocate for this ever. I think hockey players should always put their health first, and they never do, and it's a real problem. But Jeff Petry playing through that was one of the ultimate, like, this dude is tough as nails, because how are you out there playing playoff hockey right now?
He looked like Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 3 for sure. There when he went to Mustafar. But Jacob, I want to thank you so much for joining me on another edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. If you want to follow Jacob on Twitter, you can follow him on at JakeW_8. Jacob, thank you so much as always for joining me, and let's run this back next week. So can't wait to have you back on again.
Looking forward to it, man. Thank you.
And if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows in the Locked On NHL network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Flip Livingstone and Steel Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez with Jacob Winans. And you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We're your team every day.